We're back. We're more inside the green room on NBC Sports Philadelphia. We're ready for the first round of the playoffs, and my guy Joel Embiid is here for it. Let's do it.
Stick around. You're going to want to hear who Joel Embiid wants to ring the bell in a packed-out Wells Fargo Center. It's inside the green room. That's Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. Joel, it's a pleasure to have you on, even though I must say I'm a tad bit disappointed. I thought you would have came through with the big energy chain.
I left it at the gym. I think I earned it. So he's in my locker room.
That thing is heavy, even though he was pretty much only me and him in the weight room. So he pretty much just outbeat me in the weight room for the big energy chain. So it wasn't like a lot of people he had to beat. But yeah, that thing is heavy, man. I wouldn't carry that thing home either.
It is. I try to do it for a whole half, and it was a little too much.
Well, we won't talk about MVP voting just yet or at all this episode. I know Harrison wants to talk about it. But we will talk about this season and your expectations. I know you expected to come in dominating, man. Was there anything that surprised you this year that happened or didn't happen that you was expecting to happen?
This year, we just feel like, everything fits. We added Danny, added step. Tobias took another step. Ben became an even better defensive force. We got a great bench, and we got a. Most importantly, we got a bunch of good guys. I love being around everybody, and that's one thing about last year. Last year, I just felt like, I came into the gym, and I didn't want to be there. Like that's how I was miserable last year. Like the feeling that I get this year is just, it's fun to be around. It's fun to go out there and compete every single night.
And we have a decent coaching staff too that was added this
year.
Yeah,
so. For sure.
Can't forget those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to reference the time that Doc Rivers was on the show, and we asked him, what was the most pivotal moment of the season so far?
I even think we're having one right now after coming off 4 losses. And, Ben being away, Ben coming back to the team and everybody embracing him, I think will be, when we look back on this year, will be a big turning point for this season for sure. And then as crazy as it sounds, I thought training camp was very important for this group because, we had a group of guys that really hadn't worked. They hadn't gone, I think the second day, someone told me that's the first time that he's done back-to-back practices without sitting out. So, and so Joel puts the work in, and he's put the work in this year, and so it's been. And
I feel like we've had a lot of great moments, we've competed. We've enjoyed playing with each other. I think I really believe that it's going to happen in the playoffs. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to happen at some point. But at this point of the season, I just feel like, everybody has been doing their job. Every single day we come in there, we want to win games and, we don't want to mess around. So I really do believe that he's going to happen soon and in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think there was a couple pivotal moments, and I'll reiterate them. I think there was one that Doc discussed when he hit the 3-pointer against Utah was one. Early in the season, Tobias's game winner against Lakers was one. And obviously us building some, depth while he was out for that month being hurt. And also said us bouncing back after having the 4-game losing streak. When he was hurt, Ben was out. We came back, and I think we won 8 or 9 straight or something like that before the season closed. So we had a couple pivotal moments that were important, man. And I think that'll build for our chemistry in the playoffs moving forward.
Joel, what's been the most encouraging part of the most recent practices that you guys have had? Because frankly, you really haven't been able to practice this season. What's been the most encouraging thing that you've seen so far as you're leading into this first round matchup?
Everybody's focused. Everybody's in the gym early, getting their walk in. And as far as practice goes, we're competing against each other. We're going hard every single possession, whether it's offensively and defensively, and trying to get right for the playoffs and, try to be in sync and trying to make sure that, everybody's in the right places and so we don't have to think about it when we actually get to that stage. So I think just just competing every single day, especially those last few practices has been huge.
So the first round matchup is set up between you guys and the Washington Wizards. As you've watched the film, as you've watched Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal over the year, Joel, what are your impressions going into this first round?
My first impression is that he's going to be up and down. They like to run a lot. They like to get out in transition. And that's something that, we struggle all year, but we got better. But I believe that in the playoffs, everything changes. The way the game is played, it slows down. But they got two monsters. Brad, obviously, second in the league in scoring, and Westbrook after All-Star break, he just turned into something else. He's been a monster ever since. So, and they got pretty good players around too. That big man they've been killing it. So it's gonna be a huge matchup for us, and I think we're gonna be ready.
Yeah, we've had some, I'm gonna say bad history, but we haven't had good history with Brad against us. Brad has had some career nights against us, and obviously Russ is 60. Extremely hot right now, and they have some depth, so they like to push the pace. I think they were number one in offense at one point in the league, or at pushing the pace. So we know that transition is our weakness. We have to get back. But like you said, playoffs, the game slows down, but we have to slow the game down. So them offensively, obviously we want to push the pace for us, but for them we got to slow it down. But it's going to be a tough matchup, man. There's no easy game in the playoffs. Yeah,
it's my job to slow it down. Punch foul.
Post foul right there. Punch foul.
Before we can truly turn the page on this season and get you guys ready for the playoffs or get the fan base ready for the playoffs, I gotta know. Joel, tell me first, how did you guys squash the beef, quote unquote, from 2019?
Oh, man, I still think about it to this day. It's tough to watch it. A lot of times I still watch that Game 7 a lot. And the whole series in general, but mainly the Game 7 because, we had a great team back then. And it's disappointing that we couldn't make it happen. I do believe that we didn't have enough time. We only had half a season, to really get to know each other, and I don't think it was enough. But that whole series and obviously the shot Kawhi hit, that was tough to go through.
Yeah, we talked about it quite a bit, and everybody around the organization is like, man, you guys took our ring. That was and it's one of those shots. It's one of those series that forever haunt you because it's forever replayed, just like Ray Allen shot. As much as you try to forget it or not think about it, they're gonna bring up the top 10 clutch shots in the playoffs.
Especially for me because I was right there. Like I was contesting the shot. It doesn't make sense without many bounces, and it just doesn't make sense.
Sometimes the basketball gods are on your side, but that shot is forever replayed, and you're always going to see it, and it's always going to sting a little bit. But the only way for me to hash out the beef is to help him win one this year. So we got to get it done this year so we can forget about the 2019 playoffs.
For sure.
Speaking of 2019 finals, offseason playoffs, this past offseason, I got a chance to be lucky enough to win another one. I know you guys were making movement, obviously, with coaching staff coming in, new front office coming in. Did anybody consult with you of who you guys wanted to bring in? And did they mention anything, or do you have any feeling that they were trying to recruit me or get me to come through in free agency?
Well, yeah, for sure. As we went through last year, when we had a bunch of great players, but, the spacing just wasn't enough. We didn't shoot enough threes. We didn't make enough. So it was, so as soon as, these guys came in, Dell, coach, that kind of wanted to understand what didn't go right. And we talked about it. And, my main thing was just the spacing. All I need is, I just need 3-point shooters. I don't care who it is. Like, I will make anybody on defense look good just because, I control the paint. So, and, the numbers, I've always shown it that no matter who I'm with on the floor, the defense is always good. So that's what I basically told them. I was like, I just need some shooting. So they went ahead and they did their scouting, and the idea of Danny actually coming to us actually came up to me when they were trying to figure it out. How to get more shooters, and that's when we set out to OKC, and Danny was sent there for Dennis, I think, and we ended up getting him. So yeah, I was kind of like in the loop, and I just told them, yeah, this is what I think we need to succeed. I saw Draymond this summer, and I told him that I was going to kick his Marcus Smart just told me that I flail a lot. Come on. I mean, I'm sure he knows himself and he knows his game too.
So Joel, you can go back to telling us where your confidence, your boldness comes from. Who did you watch growing up? Who taught you? And what makes you bring that mindset to the game every night and being that bold about it to be able to tell people to their face, you can't guard me, because I'm trying to learn how to get that in my game.
I mean, I think you just get that confidence, as you learn the game and as you keep playing. For me, obviously, the story is all over the place. I started playing basketball so late in my life. I was 16 years old, and I had no idea. And that's also when I moved to the U.S. And even then, like I just didn't believe that I could ever make it to the league. And I just happened to make it to the league, and obviously missing my first 2 years because of injuries was tough. But as soon as I stepped on the floor for that third year, I just felt like I belonged. From the get-go, I was dominating. And then that's when I've never had any confidence in my game, because even to this day, I'm still learning really how to play basketball, and I feel like I'm not even close to my potential to where I can really get. So just keep learning how to play the game of basketball, and as you keep playing, and as I got to the league, and I just kept playing as the game goes. You start to figure out that even the best defenders in the league can't guard you. For example, we play, Rudy Gobert, 2 times Defensive Player of the Year. He has a chance to win another one, a third one. But then again, this year you mentioned the big shot against Utah. The time 3 to send us to overtime. That game you have 40. So it's almost like, well, you play against the best defensive player, as they say, because he's won Defensive Player of the Year twice and maybe a third time. And like he just looked easy. So you just get that confidence every single time you go against somebody, especially of that caliber, and you just like, whoa, it's kind of easy. And I mean, Danny plays with me. Like every single possession is like, if they don't double or triple, I mean, it's a bucket on foul. So, that's a lot of respect, which I enjoy a lot too. And you got to just take it in. And, I enjoy it. I love playing basketball. And, when you're on the court dominating grown men, it makes you feel good too.
Joel, I'm trying to get Danny like you. He should just go around 3 rings, 3 rings, 3 rings. Don't tell me nothing, 3 rings. I'm trying to get him on that bold tip.
Yeah, I can't be talking crazy to people like that, man. But I said he makes it look easy. It's not easy, but he makes it look easy. It's amazing that I play with Pascal, that you guys started so late and grown so far and been such great players that I can't imagine a couple more years where you could be. But yeah, man, that confidence is what we need, is what it can rub off on a lot of people, and hopefully rubs off on me going into this playoffs. We all need to come in with that mindset and attack people and let people know we're here. We're not playing any games, and we're coming directly through your chest. So I'm all for it, man. I want to talk about your upbringing a little bit and what it means to you to see the NBA Africa programs coming back. How excited are you to get back involved into it once the world opens up again?
It's really exciting because, looking at me, there's a bunch of guys that have made it. We have a lot of potential in Africa in general. but we just don't have, the right coaches, the right people to teach us how to play basketball. We don't have the infrastructures. We don't have a lot of gyms, if any. Everything is outdoors, so it's tough. But for the NBA to, just make it happen and go back and, start a league, I think he's gonna help a lot. He's gonna help the whole continent, and really excited because that's something that I care about a lot. And as I got to the NBA for my first year, I kind of made that promise to myself that every single year I want to go back and help grow the game of basketball, help the kids over there, just like Luke Bamute helped me get to this point. So, yeah, I think it's huge what the NBA did, and I'm excited to kind of, once COVID is clear, to kind of get back in the mix.
Your upbringing, how's that influenced you to try to give back to the community in Philadelphia?
Oh, it's huge because growing up in Cameroon or in Africa in general, you see a lot of struggle and it's a lot of poor people. So my goal as I got to the NBA was, to use what God has blessed me with to be able to go back and, help, people in need. So I've been doing that for a while in Cameroon, and obviously, recently I started getting more involved, in my community where I live in Philadelphia, and not just a part of me that, I've always been like that. That's how I was raised. That's how my parents raised, and I have the impact that I can have on someone, especially just using my name, is huge. So whenever I can use it to help someone, I will always do it.
We're back with more Inside the Green Room. We're about to go home. Make sure you check our next episode. We'll have a second part of this interview with Joel Embiid as hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, they're going into the second round. Joel, I recently read that ESPN feature article about you, and Drew Hanlon, your trainer, referenced you as cheap. And obviously, your salary is public information, so I'm not counting your pockets. But I am wondering, Joel, if his comment was true, I wonder the first purchase you made as an NBA player, where you said to yourself, man, I can't believe I spent this much money on this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Just like you said, I am cheap. I don't like to spend money. So unless I have to, like us, I don't like to waste money. So, I mean, when he was talking about that time, I used to live, an apartment where it was literally empty. I only had a bed and I had a couch that was from a close family member. That probably cost $500. So the living room was big, and there was just this small couch in the living room, no table, and a TV. I lived like that for like a year or two, and I didn't mind because I'm easy going. Like I just chill. Like I don't like to do anything. I just like to stay home and play video games.
What was the purchase that where you spent some bank? Because I imagine at some point you did on something. Where you still were like, I can't believe I did this.
I honestly have no idea. I mean, I don't have a car. Probably I would say my places where I live. Like where I live nowadays is like, well, I like to live in nice and good environment. So that's probably.
You like to be home, so you made it very comfortable. He doesn't like to leave the hotel. He like to leave home. So there's no vice. You don't like, cars, watches, jewelry, clothes.
No cars, no watches.
What else is out there? Cigars, anything that golf clubs.
Never smoked.
A bunch of video game consoles. You got a bunch of video. You had to get like
PS.
He's got the platinum. He's got the PS6. Nobody even knows it's out. That's gotta be.
He's got to have a setup, like 18 TVs everywhere with the headset. You know.
But this is really the first year that I spent something because, and it's rewarding because this with the season that I had, I had to also make a lot of sacrifices. Having a chef, making sure the environment I'm in is always clean. Having my own physical therapist, massage therapist, and all that. So that's the year. This is the year that I really went all in.
Your nickname, one of them at least, is the process. Some fans have even started to say when Wells Fargo gets packed out and everybody's having fun, that they want Sam Hinkie to ring the bell. Have you potentially discussed said things with Sam Hinkie? Have you thought about that moment, what it could be to, I guess, fulfill the process? Have you thought about that?
I haven't, but I think it would be a great idea. It deserves it. I really believe that we would not be in this situation if it wasn't for his efforts, drafting me. And then the following year, we ended up drafting Ben. And then, he was, and he's really smart. So I really do believe that if he had the opportunity to, build the team with his vision and the way he wanted to, maybe we could have been in a different position. We could have been better by now. But, I know for sure we would have been a great team. So, yeah, I like the idea.
I think you've been quoted as saying that part of the motivation for you this year was your son, Arthur. So I think it would only be right that maybe Arthur gets a chance at some point when he gets the motor skills to ring the bell.
Not with COVID.
In a couple of years. He's still young, so he's able to get the motor skills. He's able to swing. That hammer's heavy. It's not light. So when he's able to swing that hammer, a couple of years, we'll have him out there.
Yeah, it's not around.
Well, it's a virtual world, so maybe we just zoom him in.
Get a bell in the house.
There you go.
Joel, he goes to sleep before the game starts, so I don't know if his mom if she's gonna allow him to go to sleep later just to ring the bell.
There we go.
Hopefully when he gets old enough, he can stay up an hour later past the bedtime.
Joel, we appreciate your time, Dan. You wanna take us home?
Read, rate, subscribe, review, man. Appreciate you, big dog. Much love always, man. Harry, a lot of fun. Let's do it again soon.
I'll see you in Philly soon.
Yes, sir.
I want to go over your first regular season stats as a Philadelphia 76er, Danny. But before we do that, there was an appearance that was made in the last regular season game against the Orlando Magic, the big energy chain. For those who are not familiar, can you please inform them?
Oh, man, it's surprising to see Joel get it. You don't really see him in the post-game parties. That big energy chain comes from the weight room. And it's usually the guy that comes into the weight room after the game or before the game could happen and brings the most energy into the post-game party where we have our lifts. And usually it's a lot of the younger guys, some vets. Joel usually lifts on his own, either at the facility or before the game. But a lot of us sat out last game, so he got a chance to lift with some of the guys that sat out. And I guess he brought a lot of energy, man. And they gave him the chain, and he wore it out there on the court. So congrats to him. I think it's his first win. But, I don't know if he'll win anymore after that one. But it was good to see him represent the weight room. And the guys were proud of him, of sporting. And I guess, how do you put it? I guess not sporting, but
showcasing the big energy chain.
Guys are proud that he wore the chain proudly and that he was representing the weight room in our team in our post-game party. So we really appreciate that and enjoyed that and seeing him on the bench. Eventually he took it off because that chain is heavy as hell. And I'm sure his neck was, it's heavy. So
okay. So who's worn the big energy chain the most?
Probably Isaiah Joe. He's been in there quite a bit. You see him, he sports it the most. So when he does win it, he wears it to the games, after the games, wears it back home. I think I've got it maybe twice. I think Zay might have got at least 3 or 4 times. But everybody, let's say everybody, a couple guys have gotten it once, a couple guys twice. But I think Isaiah Joe might have at least 3 or 4 times.
Good for him. Good for him. You should have put the big energy chain stats on your season in review graphic that we're going to look at now. But while we should have for sure. While we're here, I do want to commend you. Only player in the NBA this season with 175 3-pointers and 90 steals. So shout out to that. As we look over this graphic, though, from this past season to the season where you with the Lakers compared to your career stats, what stands out to you the most?
When I'm looking at it, I think it's the attempts, maybe. I think the attempts is what stands out the most. And I think that's due to our pace. Like I said, in Toronto, we had great pace, and San Antonio had some good pace sometimes too. I come to realize, and you start realizing more about yourself as you, even in year 12, where your strengths are, what you're capable of. And obviously, just the game slows down for you. And obviously, when you're younger, you think you're great at everything. But you know what? You're like, all right, I can really hone on this. I can work on this, get better at this. But I know this is my go-to, and this is how I thrive. When we have good pace and a lot of transition, I think I'm more of a transition shooter. That's where I thrive. It allows me to get more attempts and probably shoot more efficiently. So when obviously Ben's in the game, he creates that push, and people have to draw a wall for him. It allows us to get open transition threes, which helps me a ton, helps Seth a ton. So yeah, him and the fact that Joel drawing double teams, instead of us running up the floor, it allowed us to get some open looks. So with those combinations, I'm able to get higher attempts and more in rhythm. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
The one thing that Ben also helps as well, and obviously he helps create threes. I think he leads the NBA in the 3-pointers created or assisted on. He's also, and I've noticed this kind of ticked up a bit more, he's also offered you a lob threat when you get chased off the 3-point line or you end up in a DHO and you want to have an option when you're in the middle of the paint and you're looking for a float game or at least the threat of a lob. It kind of gives you a little bit more freedom. We're really seeing Ben do a lot more of that screening.
It's another weapon that is hard to guard, man. When he's doing that, when people are sagging off, he's able to set screens, also roll to the basket. He has so much versatility. It's hard to people think it's easy to guard him, but it's really hard to guard him, especially when he said he's such a selfish person. He's obviously creating transition, getting at the rim, but finding guys and setting screens for guys rolling to the rim. And with shooters, you have to go over the top. So you have to make a decision. With him, you might get a pocket pass, a layup, or a lob, or you get a layup because for the shooter coming off, because it's hard to guard both. And that action has opened up a lot of stuff for us. And he's a great passer. So you hit him in the pocket. He's a great quarterback when he does catch it in the paint. Feels a pick and roll, and he can find that corner guy, which we don't have many of those on our team. But Joel does it sometimes. Dwight can do it sometimes. But Ben's strong point is obviously quarterbacking. So when he's able to set screens and be the pick up the Draymond area, get the roll and find guys, it's very dangerous. Not only can he be Draymond, but he also can be Ben and finish at the rim and catch lobs.
Before we go to break and we talk about the first round and just your impressions of what might happen throughout the entirety of the playoffs, I do want to point out something that I thought was interesting. The minutes per game. I think this is the second most minutes you've played per game at 28. I know you're feeling good. You guys get a wealthy break before this playoff game or this first playoff game. When you see 28, did anything about that? Did it catch you off guard? Did you know that you were playing so many minutes this year? Obviously in the condensed season.
I actually thought it was higher. The games that we had, when I had to play like 50 minutes, but obviously there's some games where we won and got some rest. But yeah, it is surprising that I was able to do that with how my body was last year. But the bounce back and how refreshed I feel. I had some people, obviously some good trainers, medical staff, and some doctors in place to help keep my body refreshed, and I feel pretty good at doing it. But also just conditioning your body to do that. I think last year we had so many. Not saying that we don't have a deep team this year. We have so many threats last year and so many guys that Frank put in rotation. We didn't need guys to play 28 minutes. We had some guys, also people hurt here and there, but we had 12 deep, maybe 14 deep guys that can play rotation. So only guys need to play was 22, 25 minutes. This year, when we're in a tight game, most of us are going to play 30 plus minutes. We're our starting 5, and that's most teams. I'm not saying that we aren't deep, but it'd be interesting to see how we do our rotations playoff wise. We do have some good talent coming off the bench, but I'm expecting Doc's probably going to play most of our starting 5 30 minutes a game. So 28 was surprising. 28 surprised me that I got through it and did it healthfully and only missed a couple games. But I feel pretty good about it, and I'm happy about it. I'm not complaining at all. Hopefully playoffs, I'm in condition enough to play 28 plus, because we're going to need those minutes and extra innings.
Danny referenced the bench and some of the depth that the team has. Tyrese Maxey feels like somewhat of a wild card here for this playoff run. There's been levels that you can see that he's going up during this regular season, and he does provide a speed, a burst with the ball that's not really on the roster, at least at his point guard size position. What is your evaluation of what you've seen and what he could do in the playoff series?
Oh, I think every team has one or two of those wild cards, X factors that can come off the bench and can give you a boost. And also depends on the matchup. Some matchups we might have Mike Scott that's going to give us a boost. Some matchups we're going to have Matisse or Furkan give us a boost. But Reese is that guy that they might not expect to play, but if we need him to play, he'll be ready because he can score the ball and he pushes the ball at a great pace and can attack the rim. So that gives us another scoring option, but also another guard that can get to the paint and create. So he's done nothing but grown since the beginning, since I've watched him, and done an amazing job of scoring the ball, but also learning the offense, taking constructive criticism and be able to facilitate at the same time. So I'm interested to see how Doc uses him, and I know he'll give us a plus. And said he's still growing and learning, but I know he's a guy that we can count on. He will be fearless regardless of the situation, come out and play his type of game and hoop when we need him in the playoffs.
I know your first answer is going to be health. I'm just looking back at your last two playoff runs with the Raptors when you guys beat the Warriors, and I'm looking back to last year when you guys played when you were with the Lakers. Health always matters when it comes down to the playoffs. Outside of that, though, finish this sentence for me. The 76ers win a championship if
we build the momentum. We have to continue. We have the tools. We have the talent. We have the coaching. If we use our brains, our smarts, our togetherness and come together, and build that momentum, because obviously during the end of the season, we didn't have the toughest schedule. We had a couple tough games where we could have, used as a playoff type atmosphere and try to challenge it, but we didn't take advantage of those games. We didn't have 100% health, like you said. Guys were in and out, but, everybody's going to have to play. There is no, I'm sick. There is no, have a little bumps and bruises and guys resting. Everybody's got to play through everything, and we got to be together. And hopefully, step up to the challenge and play the type of basketball we need to. Obviously, the teams that we're playing will be a lot better than we played during the regular season. So there's no playing down to your competition. But those games, I felt a lot of them didn't help prepare us for this first round. But the first round, we can continue to win games and build momentum. That'll help us into the second round and so on and so forth. The second round will help us to the third round. If we build momentum and get back to our style of playing the way we know we can play, I don't think there's a team out there that can beat us.
Speaking of momentum, I was absolutely ecstatic when I heard the news that Wells Fargo Center will be at 50% capacity for the playoffs until June 11th, when it goes to 100% capacity. And I've been dying to get back in an arena for a playoff game, especially one that's not tied down with all this COVID restrictions. This vaccinated media journalist is going to be very much excited, and I know you are the same, to get it really live and popping in Wells Fargo Center.
Everybody is, man. All the fans have been dying to get back into arenas. Not the only one. Even our young guys, they're excited to experience the fans. They've never got a chance to experience. Even some of them barely got a chance to experience in college, maybe a quarter of the season or half the season. So they've been their whole pro careers and second half of their college season without fans. So they're looking forward to it. Our fans looking forward to it, and it's just in time. It seems like when it's starting to get to the nitty gritty, that we'll have full 100% capacity in June. Hopefully, to take care of business, do what we're supposed to do by June. We'll have home court advantage and have our full capacity of fans, hopefully yelling and booing and screaming at other teams and giving us that advantage that we need, and help us win some games. But everybody's excited. Everybody's looking forward to it, and it'll be a great experience for me to have a full-on Philly experience and for the playoffs on this side of the spectrum.